Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about Bad Boys Ride or Die. So this film is the fourth entry in the Bad Boys franchise, and we once again follow Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, who play police officers Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett. And in this film they try to help clear the name of their late Captain Conrad Howard after he is accused of being a corrupt cop. Now, okay, the first thing that I want to say before I continue on with this review is that this is like the first Bad Boys film to like feel like a sequel. And that might sound like a weird thing to say because like no shit, like there's how many of these now? There's only 4, but I made it sound like there's a lot. But like, you know, you can watch Bad Boys 2 just without having seen Bad Boys 1 and have a good time. And I think you can even watch Bad Boys for Life, which is the third one, which I think they should have saved that title for this one, but whatever. But yeah, I think you can watch that one just on its own without having seen 1 or 2 and still have a good time. This one builds so much off of 2 and 3 that I don't think you can enjoy it fully without having seen them. I think at the very least you need to see 3 because the plot itself like picks up right where 3 left off, but there's a lot of references to things that happened in 2 that I think like if you want to fully enjoy it, you need to have seen at least 2 and 3. I don't think you don't need to see 1, but at that point you might as well. But yeah, I do think like it is interesting to watch this one and not have it just be sort of standalone. I kind of enjoyed it, but it's also like something that you should know before going into it. And I think it even feels closer to 3 just like tonally, in that it's like a more emotional Bad Boys film, you know? Like it's not just about Marcus and Mike just doing cool things, and you know, while that certainly is still a huge part of it, that's not the entire thing this time around. In particular, I love what they did with the character of Mike. I think they, you know, in the other films he's like portrayed as this cool, carefree guy who just doesn't really care all that much. But in this one, you know, he actually has like some depth. He's got things to lose, and in many ways his character sort of acts in contrast to how he was portrayed in Bad Boys 2. Because, you know, as I said in my other video, if you guys watched that, where I talked about the other 3, that movie, it seems like they don't care about anyone else. Like they could care less about like killing innocent civilians just as long as they catch the bad guy. That's all that's important. That's not the case here. He's actually afraid for the lives of other people. So in a way, it does feel like over these past 3 films, 2, 3, and 4, it does feel like he has this like character arc where he grows into being like a kind of a good person. And I think that's really fascinating to see unfold. And in contrast to the way that Mike is portrayed, I think Marcus is way more of the carefree character this time around. You know, Martin Lawrence he's sort of acting also in contrast to how his character was portrayed in the other films. You know, his character was always more like he's the anxious one. He's always freaking out. He's always got these big reactions to things. And you know, the big reactions to stuff definitely carries over, but he's not like an anxious figure in this film anymore. He is definitely the more carefree. I don't know if cool is the word, cool and suave are the words, but he is more like just relaxed, and it's a very different direction with from the previous entries. And I think that, you know, that lends itself to having some of the best lines and some of the funniest moments in this entire thing. I just think Martin Lawrence he's just a joy to watch on screen, really. That being said, I do think that the weakest part of this film is the plot itself. You know, it's predictable, but like normally that's not a problem for me. It's only a problem like if your film is trying to have like a big reveal, like a big plot twist. And this film tries to have that. But if you like know anything about story structure, you can probably figure it out. I think if I were to tell you just like 10% of what the rest of the plot was, you know, I think like most of you would be able to figure out like where everything goes and what else happens in the film. But I also acknowledge, you know, that's not why you come and see these movies. You're not in here for the plot. You're just here to watch Martin Lawrence and Will Smith just do whatever they want. And yeah, they that's what they do. They do whatever they want, and it's fun and entertaining to watch. You know, I think their chemistry, it feels so real and so natural. And you know, that's because it probably is just that real and that natural. You know, you do get the sense that that's not something that you can fake. Their chemistry together, it just feels like they're improvising the whole time. It's fantastic. I love seeing these two on screen together because they work so well you know, just acting off of each other. But yeah, I went into this film like thinking that nothing could be better than Bad Boys 2. Like, ever since I watched that film, like, it has since become like one of my favorite action movies ever, because like it's just so, it allows you to see who Michael Bay is as a person. Like, it's just so clearly like a product of his own mind and his own feelings towards the world and towards humanity. I think it's a fascinating thing it's a fascinating film to think about from that perspective. But there's a moment about 2/3 of the way through this particular film where I realized that this is my favorite Bad Boys film, and it's not even really that close. It's a moment that's just so clearly like fan service based, but it's just filmed in such an epic and stylistic manner that it just manages to fill you with adrenaline. It's one of the coolest action sequences I've seen in a long time. And I want to take this time to talk about the directors of this film. Their names are Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. I really hope I got your guys' names right. I please correct me in the comments if you do know how to correctly pronounce their names. But these guys not only directed the previous film, Bad Boys for Life, but they also did like a couple episodes of Ms. Marvel. But these guys also directed the recently canceled Batgirl film, which was a completed movie that was completely thrown away by David Zaslav for a tax write-off. So why do I bring up Batgirl? What relevance does Batgirl have in a Bad Boys Ride or Die review besides just, you know, but besides the connection being like the directors also did that? Well, you remember how I said that Bad Boys 2 was like a film born out of Michael Bay's own hatred for humanity? This film was made out of spite, and it was made as a way to say fuck you to David Zaslav. One of the alleged criticisms hurled towards the unreleased Batgirl film was that it was quote unquote cheap looking. After seeing this movie, I think they were fucking lying. Every single shot in this movie looks expensive. It's all so stylish, and there were multiple moments where I was just like grinning from ear to ear trying to figure out how they like accomplish some of these action sequences or just like any of these shots. It's one of the things that really blew my mind is there was a little TikTok that they posted about the behind the scenes of one of the action sequences. And it blows my mind how they were able to pull this off. Like, I don't understand. The visuals in this film, you know, it's so clearly inspired by the work that Michael Bay did in the first two. But here, it still also feels like it's unique to these new directors. You know, I'm very, very impressed with what they were able to do with this film. Like, it's just, they managed to capture some of the most visually impressive action sequences I've seen in a long time. And I'm just so proud of them, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Truly, these guys they're on my radar for sure. This film, you know, it really does feel like an exploration of a filmmaker's mind in the same way that Bad Boys 2 was. And on top of that, this film also packs on, like, you know, emotions and character, you know, the things that make a movie a movie. But I can't help but say that I think this is a great film. I think this is a super well done action film. You know, I had a really great time watching this, and I'm really glad that it's doing so well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this review. I hope you guys go check out Bad Boys Ride or Die if you haven't already. I had a really great time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Long live cinema.